In the quiet of a late evening, when the world slows and the mind begins to wander, I invite you to sit with me, to listen, to reflect. Life in its endless unfolding often feels like a river, sometimes gentle, sometimes turbulent, but always moving forward. We carry within us a weight, don't we? A sense of self that clings tightly, whispering that we must be more, do more, hold more. This is the ego, a shadow that follows us, shaping our choices, our fears, our joys. Yet in the teachings of the Buddha, there is a path to see beyond this shadow, to touch a truth that sets us free. Let me share a story, one that weaves through the heart of a man named Arjun, whose life, like yours or mine, was tangled in the dance of self and truth. Arjun was a carpenter in a bustling city, his hands calloused from years of shaping wood into chairs, tables, and dreams for others. He was known for his skill, but also for his pride. "No one can craft as I do," he would say, his chest swelling as clients praised his work. Yet at night, when the sawdust settled and the city quieted, Arjun felt a hollowness. His pride lifted him in the daylight, but it left him restless in the dark. He chased recognition, believing it would fill the void. More orders, more praise, more proof of his worth. But the more he sought, the heavier the burden grew. His wife noticed his furrowed brow, his short temper with their children. "What's wrong, Arjun?" she asked one evening. He brushed her off, unable to name the ache within. One day, a traveler came to Arjun's shop, an old monk with a calm smile and eyes that seemed to see beyond the wood and nails. He asked for a simple stool, nothing grand. Arjun, eager to impress, crafted one with intricate carvings, far more than the monk had requested. When he presented it, the monk tilted his head. "This is beautiful," he said, "but it carries the weight of your need to be seen. A stool need only hold a person, not their pride." Arjun frowned, stung by the words. "I am the best," he replied. "Why settle for less?" The monk nodded gently. "The best is not in what you make, but in why you make it. Come, walk with me tomorrow." Curious, though skeptical, Arjun agreed. The next morning, they walked to a nearby forest, where the monk pointed to a towering tree. "This tree stands tall," he said, "but it does not boast of its height. It gives shade, fruit, and life without asking for praise. Its roots dig deep, unseen, holding it steady. Your ego, Arjun, is like a tree that demands to be admired but forgets its roots." Arjun listened, his mind resisting yet intrigued. The monk continued, "The Buddha taught that the ego is a veil, clouding the truth of who we are. We are not our achievements, not our failures, not the stories we tell ourselves. Truth lies in letting go of the need to prove." That night, Arjun sat with those words. He thought of his father, a humble weaver who found joy in simple work, never seeking applause. He thought of the times he snapped at his son for spilling paint, chasing perfection instead of presence. The monk's words echoed, asterisk, let go of the need to prove. Could it be that simple? He wasn't sure, but something stirred a flicker of curiosity, a longing to understand. Arjun returned to his shop the next day, his hands moving slower, more deliberate. He crafted a simple table, no carvings, no flourish, just sturdy wood, honest in its purpose. When the client came, a young woman opening a small bakery, she smiled warmly. "It's perfect," she said. "It feels like home." Arjun felt a quiet warmth. Not the rush of pride he was used to, but something softer, deeper. He began to notice moments like these, small, unremarkable, yet full of life. The way his daughter's eyes lit up when he listened to her stories. The gratitude in his wife's touch when he helped with dinner. These were not trophies to display, but they filled the hollowness he'd carried. Still, the ego was a stubborn guest. One afternoon, a wealthy merchant visited, seeking an elaborate cabinet to outshine his peers. Arjun, the best, felt the old fire flare. He'd poured weeks into the piece, carving every detail to perfection. The merchant was thrilled, showering him with praise and promises of more work. But as Arjun counted the payment, the emptiness crept back. He saw it now, the fleeting thrill of being seen, only to hunger for it again. He sought the monk once more, finding him by the river, tossing leaves into the current. "Why does it keep coming back?" Arjun asked, frustration in his voice. The monk watched a leaf drift away. "The Buddha spoke of the 5 skandhas," he said. "Form, feeling, perception, mental formations, consciousness. These are the threads of the self we weave. The ego clings to them, saying, 'This is me.' But like this river, they flow, they change. Truth is not in holding them, but in seeing them pass." Arjun sat on the bank, watching the water. "So I am nothing?" he asked. The monk chuckled. "You are everything, Arjun, when you stop grasping. The truth is not a thing to own, it's a moment of seeing clearly." Arjun began to practice this seeing. At work, he noticed his urge to outdo others, to be the best. Instead of feeding it, he paused, breathed, and returned to the wood in his hands. At home, he caught himself chasing control, demanding his son's grades improve or his wife agree with his plans. He tried to let go, to listen, to be present. It wasn't easy. The ego whispered doubts. Asterisk, what if you're forgotten? What if you're not enough? But each time he noticed, he softened. A proverb came to mind, one his father loved. Asterisk, the tallest blade of grass is the first to be cut. Humility, he realized, was not weakness, but freedom. One evening, as he walked with the monk, Arjun shared his struggles. "I see it now, but I still stumble. How do I stay on this path?" The monk pointed to the stars emerging in the dusk. The Buddha taught the Noble Eightfold Path: right view, intention, speech, action, livelihood, effort, mindfulness, concentration. It's not a race, Arjun, but a practice. Each step, each stumble is the path itself. Truth unfolds when you walk it, not when you arrive. Arjun began to weave this practice into his days, like threads in a tapestry he could not yet fully see. He started small, choosing moments to pause and breathe when irritation rose, when a customer complained about a minor flaw, or when his daughter left dishes in the sink. He noticed how his need to be right, to control, was a knot in his chest, tightening with every judgment. Slowly he learned to loosen it, not by force, but by attention. The Buddha's teaching of mindfulness became his anchor, to see the moment as it was, not as his ego wished it to be. He found himself listening more to the creak of wood under his tools, to his wife's quiet worries about their aging parents, to the laughter of his children playing outside. These sounds, once background noise, became threads of connection, weaving him into the world. One morning, a neighbor, Myra, came to his shop in tears. Her husband had lost his job, and their family faced eviction. Arjun's first instinct was to offer a chair or table, something to sell, but he stopped himself. His ego wanted to fix, to be the savior. Instead, he sat with her, listening as she poured out her fears. "I don't know who we are without our home," she whispered. Arjun thought of the Buddha's words on impermanence. Asterisk, all that arises passes away. He shared this gently, not as a lesson, but as a truth he was learning too. We are not our houses, Myra, nor our jobs. We are the love we give, the kindness we share. He offered to repair her furniture for free, a small act, but one that felt truer than any grand gesture. Myra left lighter, and so did he. This shift rippled outward. At the market, Arjun noticed a young apprentice struggling to sell his carvings, his face tight with worry. Once, Arjun might have seen him as competition, a threat to his title as the best. Now he saw a reflection of his younger self, hungry for approval. He spent an hour with the boy, sharing tips on sanding and staining, not to prove his skill, but to lift another. The boy's grateful smile stayed with Arjun, a reminder that joy grows when shared. A saying echoed in his mind, asterisk. A candle loses nothing by lighting another, asterisk. He felt the truth of it, not in his pride, but in his heart. Yet life, like the river, brought challenges. Arjun's mother fell ill, her strength fading like a leaf in autumn. He sat by her bedside, grappling with the ego's fear of loss. He wanted to cling, to demand she stay. But the Buddha's teaching on suffering, the first noble truth, whispered to him, asterisk, all life knows pain. He held her hand, not to hold her back, but to be present in her moment. You've given me so much, he told her, tears falling. I see you now. Her smile, faint but warm, was a gift beyond words. As the seasons turned, Arjun's practice deepened, though it was never without effort. The ego, like a shadow, shrank in the light of awareness, but never fully vanished. There were days when old habits crept in, when a client's criticism stung, or when he envied a rival's success. But now he recognized these moments as teachers, not enemies. The Buddha's teaching of right effort guided him to cultivate what is wholesome, to let go of what binds. He began to see his thoughts as clouds passing through a vast sky, not as truths to cling to. This shift brought a quiet strength, a resilience that steadied him through life's storms. One spring, a festival came to the city, and Arjun was asked to craft a communal table for the celebration. In years past, he would have seen it as a stage to showcase his skill, to outshine others. Now he saw it as an offering. He worked alongside other carpenters, sharing ideas, laughing over mistakes, his hands moving with purpose, but not pride. When the table was unveiled, the crowd gathered, their voices mingling over shared meals. No one praised Arjun alone, and he found he didn't need it. The joy of the moment, children running, elders telling stories, neighbors connecting, was enough. He thought of the Buddha's words on interdependence. All things arise together, connected. The table, the people, the laughter, they were one. At home, Arjun's relationships softened. His son, now a teenager, often withdrew, lost in the pressures of youth. Arjun remembered his own struggles at that age, the need to be seen as something more. Instead of lecturing, he shared stories of his own mistakes, his journey with the monk. You don't have to be perfect, he told his son one evening as they sanded a plank together. You just have to be here." His son didn't respond, but the silence felt different, less heavy, more open. Arjun trusted the moment, knowing truth grows in patience, not force. A proverb stirred in his memory: a seed grows in silence, not in noise. The monk, now older and frailer, visited Arjun one last time. They sat under the same tree where their talks began, its branches heavier with time. "You've walked far," the monk said, his voice soft as the breeze. Arjun shook his head. "I still stumble. I still want to be more." The monk smiled. The Buddha taught that awakening is not a destination, but a way of seeing. Each stumble is a step. Each moment you see clearly, you are free. Arjun nodded, feeling the weight of those words. He saw his life not as a race to some grand truth, but as a series of moments, each one a chance to let go, to love, to be. As years passed, Arjun's life became a quiet testament to this practice. His shop, once a stage for his ego, transformed into a space of connection. Customers lingered not just for his work, but for his presence, his willingness to listen, to share a kind word. He taught apprentices, not to prove his mastery, but to pass on what he'd learned. That skill is empty without heart. His children grew, carrying their own struggles, and Arjun met them with patience, knowing each moment of frustration or joy was fleeting, yet precious. His wife, his anchor, noticed the change. "You're different," she said one night, her hand resting on his. "Lighter." Arjun smiled, unsure if he was lighter or simply less burdened by the need to be anything at all. The city around him buzzed with the same restlessness he once knew, people chasing wealth, status, certainty. Yet Arjun saw it differently now. The Buddha's teaching of the Four Noble Truths had rooted in him. Suffering exists. It has a cause. It can end, and there is a path. He shared this in small ways, through conversations at the market, through acts of kindness, through the way he lived. He didn't preach. He simply was. When a young man, anxious about his future, asked for advice, Arjun offered a story of a river. It flows without forcing its way. It meets rocks, bends, but keeps moving. Be like the river present, not pushing. The young man nodded, and Arjun felt the echo of his own journey, the monk's voice still alive in him. This path, dear listener, is yours too. In the rush of your days and the ache of your doubts, pause. Notice the ego's whisper, the need to be more. Let it pass. Like a cloud, like a river's ripple. The truth waits in the stillness and the act of seeing clearly. Step gently, moment by moment, and you will find your way.